right, that sounded like everyone's here. Is that true?
I'm here.
Yeah, here.
We did it.
Present.
Chad, Tyler,
All right.
Matt,
We've done
We
it.
did
sounds up.
it.
we did it.
Have arrived.
All right, so we're going to get started. Welcome everyone to this Facebook Live audio room in the Woodsboro Horror Film Club. I'm Billy Jensen. I'm joined by my partner on Unraveled, Alexis Linkletter, and we are here celebrating the franchise's 25th anniversary of Scream and to talk about the new Scream movie only in theaters on January 14th.
And we have a lot of burning questions for the filmmakers, Matt Bentinelli, Olpen, Tyler Gillette, and the producer, Chad Villela.
We're thrilled to
Hi.
be here with all of you. Yeah, thank you for having us. We can't wait to talk about all the Scream movies, including the one coming soon.
All right, so I think our first question is, why now? Like, how did this story come to be? Why now? Like, why? The world is in a very precarious place. Why did we need Scream to come back in our lives?
That's a why the hell not, I would say. I mean, look, our as diehard fans of the franchise, I think we've always wondered what was happening with our favorite characters in Woodsboro and what the next chapter of the saga would be. And thankfully, we also have incredible friends, Guy and Jamie, the writers, who had that same burning question and actually took it upon themselves to answer it for us all. We will say that I think the thing that we were so thrilled about when we first read the script was just how it felt. It felt like they found the perfect reason for this new movie to exist. It has all of the things that we love in all of the Scream movies, but it also has this very specific, very timely, very in the moment kind of sensibility that again is a cornerstone of what these movies are. But yeah, we're really thrilled for people to see it and to get to have a conversation more openly about it, where we can actually talk about the movie instead of dodge spoilery questions.
No, totally. And we're so excited too. And that brings us to our next question. So the original Scream, as we know, broke all the rules basically in the first 10 minutes. And the main movie star, Drew Barrymore, she was on the poster and she was murdered. So what are you guys doing in this movie that sort of bends the rules?
That's a great question. And I don't know how to answer it without spoilers. So I guess the easiest way to answer it would just to be, we take the subversion that Scream has built into its DNA very seriously. And I think that's one of the things we tried to do in both big and small pieces throughout the movie, so that hopefully when you're expecting something, much like the original, you're expecting it and then it doesn't happen and it doesn't happen. And then just when you can't stand it anymore, maybe it does or it doesn't. That's like something we wanted to really play with.
That makes total sense. But you guys are bringing the same juice that in that way.
Same juice.
Love
That's
it.
the goal. Yes.
So how much pressure is there and was there to live up to this franchise?
I mean, there's nothing but pressure, and I think we take that very seriously. Obviously, we're mega fans of Wes Craven and everything that he's built over the years, and I think with this franchise particularly, this one holds a special place in all of our hearts. So we come at it as mega fans of everything Scream, and I think after like living with Scream 2, Scream 3, Scream 4 for all these years and just going back in and really dissecting what he did with it, I think the pressure was high. And I think the entire team that put together this movie, A, felt that, and B, kind of like just took the challenge head on and approached it as fans. That's what's kind of fun about making a Scream movie, right? You have a little bit of a meta awareness of what's going on in the world, and you're able to like comment on that a little bit. And I think we approached this one differently than we have approached other movies, obviously, because we knew there was a sense of paying respect and not an homage, but like just being aware of what came before and how we can add to the lexicon of the franchise, and how we could build off of that and also make it accessible to people who might not be familiar with the franchise and what everything Scream represents. And I think that was the challenge that we took on, and that's something that I think there's something in it for everybody, right? There's something in it for the people who are diehard Scream fans from day one, which was 25 years and a day ago. And there are people who might just be hearing about Scream right now. I think that was the big challenge to take on, and it's something that we really looked forward to, and I think that we executed.
One way or the other.
Scene coming up. Yeah, we executed. Yeah,
it got executed.
We executed. It has been executed.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So shifting gears towards the script itself. So how exactly did the script come about? What were some of the major ideas you knew you wanted to include that sort of paid respect to the franchise, as you said? And what was it like in the writing room? Like, tell us about this process.
Well, we very fortunately, I mean, we had sort of a very unique experience with coming to this project. It was not in our lives, and then it was very, very much in our lives very, very suddenly. It was actually something that that Guy and Jamie had been writing in secret. We weren't even aware that that the project existed. We knew they were working on something. We didn't know they wanted us involved, and we had no idea what it was. Then very oddly, Jamie Vanderbilt, one of the writers and producers, he set up a meeting with us at Spyglass, who owns the rights to Scream. And it's very strange in this business for a friend of yours to set up a general meeting. We still, just being the naive idiots that we are, just didn't think anything of it. Ended up in that meeting learning that Jamie and Guy were writing Scream. Still had not been offered to us. We were just so blown away that two of our favorite people in the world were writing a movie in our favorite franchise in the world. And it wasn't until a week later we got a phone call, and Jamie and William and Paul, all three producers, asked us if we'd come in and read the script. And you know, I don't think that will probably go down in history for us as one of the most memorable moments in our careers, sitting in the conference room at Project X, each with a hard copy of the script, and just pinching ourselves. I mean, it was just absolutely, it was wildly surreal. First, to just get to be involved in any way, but to also be the first people outside of the writers and the producers who were intimately involved up to that point to know what's going to happen in the next Scream movie. And I can say that very little changed story-wise from what we read in the conference room that day to what is ultimately on screen. And look, that's just a testament to Guy and Jamie and how much they love these movies, and honestly, how much they poured themselves and their love of these movies into this script. And all of the ingredients are there. It's scary. It's funny. It's meta, it's self-reflexive. We've got the legacy cast back. We have an insanely talented new group of actors coming in to kind of carry on a new legacy. And it just ticked all the right boxes for us. There's a lot of way for these movies to go wrong, and it just went right at every sort of turn of the story. And I mean, it was love at first read. We knew that it was the next project as soon as we started reading it.
Yeah, and just to jump off that real quick, it took us about 4 hours to read the whole script. So Jamie kept poking his head into the room, being like, "Did we just offer this movie to people who can't read?" Because they were like, they didn't know how because we really devoured every single word that was on the page, and you know, we, again, reading it as fans and also seeing how like we would execute it was like a lot of fun, and we were all reading at the same pace and just having a blast as we were reading it for the first time, and that stayed true up until the final version of the movie. Like, seeing the final movie, it's just like, wow, all right, cool, here we go, it's a Scream movie.
Okay, now, so just so everybody knows, like, there will not be any spoilers in here because we have not seen the movie. So the one thing that struck me as I was rewatching all the movies is that Scream had a tabloid journalist who wrote a book saying that Cotton wasn't the real killer of Sydney's mom. And she was right. And that took place 25 years ago. But then consistently, Scream has included what was in the zeitgeist. And as me and Alexis, as true crime journalists, we noticed this. So first you had a tabloid journalist, and then she was a true crime writer. Then in Scream 3, there was even a joke about that it was the Facebook killer, but then it should have been the Twitter killer because Twitter is bigger than Facebook. Then in Scream 4, there was the live video blogger with Hall Pass. Now, me and Alexis are on some big true crime podcasts. It's 2022. Will this movie have true crime podcasters going after the story?
Short answer, no. But you know, this does, just to kind of jump off what you're saying a little bit, this does have that thing. Hopefully, you know, our goal was, and Jamie and Guy, when they wrote it, the goal was to have something to say and something to comment on, kind of that sort of thing where we're at culturally at this moment. And we think they did a great job of putting that into the script. And you know, we're excited for people to see what that is, because it's something that we haven't had a chance to really talk about yet. So, but that's definitely in there. That's a big piece of it. I don't think it would be Scream without that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think I would just say, too,
wasn't-
even though it doesn't have a specific kind of true crime investigative angle, like that's one of the things that we love. One of the ingredients in these movies that makes them what they are is that, you know, the characters within the movie are the proxy for the audience, right? And the whole sort of the whole fun of these slashers specifically is the whodunit aspect. So there is very naturally this true crime kind of investigative angle to all of the Scream movies, and that is definitely the case with this one as well.
Well, I have to say we're disappointed that there's no true crime podcaster but we'll get over it. That being said, though, as far as the release of the film, it's not going to be done via streamer, just in theaters. So how important is that to you guys, and why is that important, if it is?
I mean, it's crucial. Like I like, and for our benefit, I think we could owe all that to Spyglass and Gary Barber. I think he definitely fought for us to have a theatrical only experience. You know, before we end up, I think, on Paramount Plus with the good folks at Paramount. So I think this is a movie that you want to see with a group of people, and who knows, like, what the world will be like in 3 weeks. Obviously, that's something we have to take into account because everybody's safety is our first and foremost priority. But like, it's a fun movie. It's a movie you need to experience with other people, and I think we all love the theatrical experience more than anything, and we love going to the theater and being immersed in the world that only a theater can really allow you to be in, because it's an event, right? You have to go somewhere. You're not on your own couch watching it on your mega screen at home with your incredible sound system, but you're going out there and you're experiencing it as a community. And we feel that the Scream community and fans are just so supportive of everything that is Scream. It is a great way to watch this movie. And we're really hoping that everything, you know, and everybody behaves, and, you know, obviously with the holidays coming up and who knows what's going on with the virus and everything else moving forward. But like, if we can hold off just a little bit and just wait just a little bit just to get into the theaters to see this, I think it's going to be a fantastic experience for everybody that goes.
Yeah, and I think that there's this, right, there's something really unique about where we're at in the horror genre right now, and we're seeing certainly as theaters started to reopen that audience was really hungry to go back and see horror movies and have that shared communal experience. And for us, you know, that's just a part of the genre. It's a part of the experience of these movies that we've always loved. And that, you know, that goes for the Scream movies as well, seeing those in the theaters and having those very specific memories. But I think, you know, very specifically right now, we've been spending a lot of time isolated. And I think there's a real desire to go and have a shared catharsis and in front of a giant screen, and to scream and to yell and to experience all of that peril in a safe and entertaining way. And, you know, there's a real, I think we're all really thirsty for that. And this movie definitely delivers all of that stuff.
Yeah, you know what? When I was rewatching yesterday and Scream 2, when they were watching Stab, and how crazy that premiere was, and how I mean, obviously it turned bad, but like it reiterated, obviously it's not going to get that weird, but it's going to be like that. It's going to be an experience that everybody wants to sort of, hold to each other and be like, because, it's just a lot like with comedy as well, but also with horror, everybody wants to scream with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a universal language, right? It's one of those things that I think it bridges the gap between everybody. We all share a fear of our mortality, and it's amazing how the language of a well-crafted scare on screen, whether it's, the music or the way the camera moves, you can I mean, I'm a chicken shit. All scary movies terrify me. I'm the kind of person who is always muting. And even then, when you're just watching something with the sound off, when you're in a scary moment. And there's something really profound about, the power of the craft of a movie to affect people in the same way. And there's something really, really unifying about that. And yeah, look, our favorite experiences with all horror movies are in that setting, and we've had so many wonderful ones over the course of our lives as fans and as filmmakers. And God, we are really just hoping that we get to do it with this one.
So, Scream has so many quotable lines. The one that reaches out to me is that movies don't create psychos, movies make psychos more creative. What are some of your favorite lines, favorite quotes? And did you feel the need to actually be like, you know what, we need some quotable lines. We need this next generation to have lines that they're going to quote moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, Guy and Jamie wrote some incredible lines into this one. There's a few that we think really rank up there with the best of the best in the series. They really, like, one of the joys of reading the script for the first time was, in addition to the great characters and the great story, was finding those moments in the script where you go, oh, if we execute this properly, that's going to be a line people quote. And, to answer your question, I think I think favorite quote probably in the whole series is "You're forgetting one thing about Billy Loomis. I fucking killed him." Gives me chills every time. It's delivered perfectly. It's a perfect line at the perfect moment. Chad, Tyler, you guys have your favorites?
Yeah, I think that they are also character specific. It's why they're so memorable. And it's what Matt had said earlier, that Guy and Jamie, I think not only did they write great lines, but they also feel like they reveal something so specific about the personality of the person who says them. And that goes for all of our favorite lines in Scream. I mean, I just immediately go to the sequence at the end of the first movie where Matthew Lillard's Stu has been stabbed, and that run, "You hit me with the phone, Dick," all of that.
Yes.
I'm feeling a little woozy here. It's just they're all
the best.
so
Totally.
wild and but they also feel so of the moment, and they make sense, and they're weirdly like fantastical and super amplified, but also grounded at the same time. And look, every character in that movie has one of those moments where you're just like, fuck yeah, that is the perfect line. It encapsulates who you are and like where we're at in the movie. And I mean, there are countless instances of those lines in the franchise.
Yeah, no, my favorite line in that is when the phone rings and it's going to be Sid, and then Stu's like, "Should we let the machine get it?" Which is great.
So good. It's so good. So good.
So good.
So good. Okay, so from a production standpoint, when you guys were making the film, we want to know any funny anecdotes, any funny stories, fun stories from being on set, anything worth sharing?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think, obviously we shot during the pandemic. So we shot August through November of 2020. So I think it was the first movie back for everybody. So everybody was just thrilled to be working again. All of our incredible cast and our insanely talented crew were just happy to be back. So there was a nice sense of camaraderie amongst everybody. And I'll just lead off, like, our producer, William Sherrick, built more or less turned a conference room at the hotel that we were staying at into a game room, more or less. We brought in a pool table, we brought in beanbags. We called it Camp Sherrick because it felt like summer camp, and the entire cast stayed at the hotel the entire time. And there was nothing better than getting home from set every night and knowing that the people who didn't work that day were just hanging out and kicking it in there. And I think that sense of family and that sense of friendship resonates to today. Obviously, everybody got together for a dinner a couple nights ago, and that love that everybody had just from spending that time together and playing games and watching movies and going through the original screams and just genuinely getting to know each other as people. So the characters that they brought to life could ring a little bit more true was very, very special for not only us, but for, I think, everybody involved. And I think that shone through when we got to set.
Yeah, man, there's so many memorable moments.
Yeah.
It's hard to like talk about specific set moments without getting into dangerous spoiler territory. But you know, there every moment that we got together with you know, our cast and our crew is just so wildly memorable and special. And I'll never forget we did this big kickoff dinner before we started shooting, and it was the first time all of the cast was together. You know, the legacy cast, our new cast members. I mean, it was this moment where I think for us, you know, you sort of white knuckle it through pre-production and through prep, and you just hope that the movie's going to go, and it doesn't ever really feel real until it suddenly feels real. And I think that night for us, it was this moment of, wow, we're here. all of the pieces of the puzzle are sitting at this dinner, and we're going to start shooting in 2 days. And there was something, there was just this excitement. I think everybody felt like we were there to do something really, really special. And we all sort of went around and said something about the movies and about Wes. And it was, it felt like we're you know, here we go. We got the right group together, and let's go make a movie.
So, what can the audience expect in this version of Ghostface? Like, does he have because as we saw Ghostface evolve, and obviously there were and the amazing thing about this character is that it could be anybody. It could be anybody on the poster. It could be anybody. But we've seen him evolve and start to use more varied ways of killing. Are we going to see more of that, more creative ways in this movie?
Yeah, look, I think that for us, we really wanted to make sure that Ghostface was terrifying, number one, right? I think it's one of the things that I wouldn't say you forget, but I think that the idea of what Scream is and the tone of Scream has has transcended itself in some ways. And I think you sort of forget until you go back and you watch particularly that first movie, just how absolutely terrifying it is. There is no moment in that opening sequence where you feel safe. And that is by, of course, design. I mean, it's one of the most well-crafted moments in any film ever made, full stop. And I think we wanted to really respect that. You know, we wanted to really make a horror movie first and foremost. But the other thing that we love about the franchise that we definitely wanted to represent was, you know, there's something so unique and identifiable about all of the kills and all of the chases. And you know, you can go down the list and just name them very specifically by the gag. You know, Tatum getting caught in the garage door, and so we loved that specificity, and we really wanted to drill down in the script with Guy and Jamie and make sure that all of those moments felt like they had those special ingredients. They all had a really unique identity that would make them memorable and hopefully, you know, live up to the countless kills that we've now seen in the franchise.
So next question, as far as special effects and props and all the things that make these incredible horror movies what they are, have they changed in the 25 years since the original? And what can you comment on in that way? I mean, I know back then, I mean, people used like corn syrup for blood, like anything you can share about how that all played out.
Yeah, one of the things we kind of wanted to really get into when we started this was to make sure we did as much practically as possible. So in a lot of ways, I kind of hope it hasn't been updated too much. I mean, I'm sure that there are kind of things that we're not even aware of that have gotten better and easier for the special effects people to make that stuff. But our kind of big conversation with our special effects guys was like, how do we do this where we won't need visual effects as much as possible? Let's do everything we can do practically, let's do it practically. And, they really stepped up to the plate, and we're really excited to like kind of lean into that and get back to basics. They're all gigantic, horror nuts and gigantic Wes Craven nuts. And there's some stuff in here that they, I can't say what yet, but that, I'm walking into spoilers. Sorry, guys. But let's just say that there's a lot of there's a lot
You
of
love it. Walk
detail.
right into those spoilers.
I know. I mean, I
Come
almost
on.
stepped in it. There's a lot of attention to detail when it comes to that, and they really just knocked it out of the park. Like, hopefully people will see that when they see the movie, that we didn't rely on visual effects.
Yeah, that makes it more fun it makes the process more fun, right? You show up on set and you actually have practical elements to work with, and it's I mean, it's a playground, right? It's like make believe on the highest level when you get to actually work with real things that are there, and everybody can have like a visceral reaction to them. There's something just so fun and energizing about showing up on set and like having as much of the movie as you're going to see on screen there on set for you to work with and interact with.
And one of the things that I think was super fun during the process was Rick Poor, who was kind of the head of that. He would show up to kind of do a show and tell with us during the day of the possible, like, here's what this knife slice looks like. Here's what this blood gushing wound looks like. And he'd have 4 or 5 options. And it was always, you'd have thought that he was like showing a kid toys. It was that kind of vibe where we were all just like, oh yeah, show us more of these. These are so fun.
Dude, do you remember when he showed up and he was carrying around what looked like a donut box? And he sort of pulled us all to the side.
Like a pizza box.
And he opens He opens up the lid of this pizza box, and there were 30 like slice wounds, latex slice wounds inside of this box. And he was like, "Just point at the one that you want." And we were like, "Wow, this is an insane. This is our adult job. This is crazy."
Okay, so fellas, we have some fan questions. We put this out there on on Instagram and on Facebook. And Jasmine Savoy Brown, who plays Mindy Meeks Martinez in the film, actually responded to Scream's Instagram story. And this is what she asked. Which actor, actress was your favorite to work with, and why was it Jasmine?
Well, it was Jasmine. Because
I love
it was
that.
Jasmine. So great.
Yeah. Amazing.
I mean, obviously it's a joke, but like I don't think we could ever pick a favorite, not for any political reasons, but because genuinely from like the bottom of our hearts, everybody was truly wonderful as performers and as actors and also as human beings. And it was just like, Chad and Tyler both touched on this earlier, but it was truly such a special experience to get to spend time with all of the cast. And they all brought something so special to it and so unique. And I think, their performances exceeded our wildest hopes, and they all just did such a great job. And then we could go on forever about what they're like as just people off camera. They're just all so great, and it really made the experience wonderful.
Yeah, and they had like great material to work with. I think the other, the script that Guy and Jamie put together, everyone has a moment where they really get to swing for the fences. And again, that's one of the things that I think we all love about the franchise, and it's why those movies have stuck with audiences and have the longevity the franchise has, the longevity it has, is because those characters, like they're you can tell that the people, that the actors playing them are having a blast. And And this one's no exception to that. You know, there's a lot of really fun. We got to really put people through the paces, and and there are a lot of really fun moments for every character in this movie.
Love it. Love it. So as far as the legacy cast, how was it to work with them? Directing the cast from, I guess, the Holy Trilogy, you know, Sydney, Gale, Dewey, like what was sort of your experience with that and what excited you about that?
I mean, it was surreal. Every moment of the process with them was surreal. You know, we would joke on set that it was, you'd sort of show up, you know, with a split brain. It was like part of you was just a fan, and you were amazed that you got to be on set with your, you know, with your idols, and the other part of you was like, shit, we actually have to make a movie. we have a job we need to do. And so those two you know, pursuits were in constant conflict with each other. But I think what we found so quickly is that there is a warmth and a love of these movies that is shared, you know, by all of the legacy cast that is just really, really deeply profound. And you know, they've carried these characters with them for 25 years, and their understanding of what these movies are and who those characters are, I mean, it's invaluable, right? Their feedback, the way that they sort of guided us into the right moments, the right, you know, the right sort of nuance of all of those moments was really we would have been lost without it. I mean, we were definitely the new kids coming into an existing family in so many ways, and they were just the most generous, wonderful people you could ever hope to work with. And obviously, they're also just fantastic actors. Like there were so many days on set where we'd finish a take and we'd forget to call cut because you're just like watching the monitor. Holy shit. Like, why? I can't believe I'm watching Sidney Prescott. I can't believe I'm watching Gale. I can't believe I'm watching Dewey. And that was a daily occurrence for us with them. I mean, they're just magnetic. And it will, that obviously you will see it in the movie. It really, they shine so bright in this one.
It's the most amazing cast. So how exciting, truly. I mean, I'm very jealous.
So guys, we have a question actually from a live queue question from listener Joey Davis, who asks, was balancing the horror and comedy elements more intense, challenging than Ready or Not? And do you have any advice on how to successfully balance those themes?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. I think it's something that we always approach our work looking to do, right? We want to live in the moments of tension, and you don't know if you're going to end that moment with either a splat or a laugh, right? So I think that's the way we kind of build each and every one of those moments within a scene or a sequence, and then we see how long we can do that for and extend that out. So I think that's a great question. Compared to Ready or Not, like we shot it in almost half the time, so we were kind of like always behind the gun, just trying to make sure we got everything on camera. With this one, we were able to like get into the sequences a little bit more, let our actors actually live in the moment a little bit more and feel out the scene and find it. So I think there were different experiences, but like I think it's something that we've been doing since day one, which was, you know, 15 years ago or 13 years ago for us. So that's something that we just love to get into all of our pieces, right? Just ground our characters, put them in very terrifying situations, and then let the levity rise to the top.
I love that. And I want to know too, this is not a question we have, it's just genuine curiosity. What are you guys most excited about with this film? Whether it's, you know, tethering thematically through all the other screens or something new you're bringing, like what most excites you about what is to come with this film?
For me, it's just so it could come out so we could actually talk about the movie and not have to worry about spoilers. But
totally fair.
Yeah, but we're very excited to share it with the world, guys.
Yeah, I'm excited. You know, I'm excited see people react to it, and hopefully that'll be a positive experience. And because, you know, we've mentioned this a lot to the point of like, we say it all the time, but it's just so true that we are such fans of this, that so we're in this weird position of being fans and creators. And but because of that, we know what it feels like to get something that you really want from a movie, and to get something that's really satisfying in a hopefully unexpected way. And that's something we really tried to make a reality. And so, I mean, for me, it's I just want to like sit in a theater and watch people react to it for the first time and just have fun with it. You know, I think that's for me the most exciting part.
I think it's going to be really fun to have the Easter egg conversation with fans and audiences.
Oh yeah, I've got my list right
There
here.
is
That's fun. That's really fun.
There is a like deep list of moments that, you know, we've populated the story with all kinds of fun callbacks, and really tried to fold the Scream universe in on itself as many times as possible. And look, I think for the astute fans, and honestly, they're already picking up on stuff just in the marketing materials and in the trailers. And so people are definitely, their antennas are very finely tuned for that, and they're going to be really thrilled with how many instances of just like Scream fandom exist in every scene of this movie.
Totally. And I guess, is there anything else? I mean, that ran us through our questions, although organically.
Oh, I have one.
We have so many more though. What else can you share with us? I don't know. What else can you share with us about, you know, this amazing opportunity that you guys have had to recreate this film?
One of the things that we have actually not talked about at all, but we are also, this kind of goes into your last question too, but it's something we're excited for people to discover, is we spent a lot of time on the soundtrack, and we really focused on it. And like, you know, with the music department at Paramount, especially Relly, and we just had a great time digging into what is the soundtrack of this movie, because the other ones all have really memorable soundtracks. It's something that we love when a movie has a creative and interesting narrative soundtrack that kind of goes with the flow of the movie. It's just, when we were growing up, 80s and 90s, that was a part of most movies, and it seems to somewhat have gone by the wayside a little bit now, where it's, I mean, not totally, it's still present in a lot of movies, but you know, just to put it out there for the 184 people listening, that we hope you like the soundtrack.
Yeah, and I would, the thing that I would add, and I think it's sort of along the same lines as the soundtrack, is, you know, we really wanted to make something that had this feeling at times like, you know, we were nodding to the nostalgia of the original in particular. And certainly there are moments where the soundtrack does that, but we should give a shout out to Brett Jukowitz, our DP, who also shot Ready or Not. He he had one of the bigger challenges in this movie, just craft wise, and in how to photograph it. And we had a lot of long conversations with him about the approach, and how do you make something that feels modern but also timeless. And we obviously have a lot more tools and technology at our disposal now as filmmakers than they did back in when Wes made the first movie. But for us, it was really, we wanted to be really conscious of making choices that made it feel like it exists in our world, and like it's never kind of overtaken by style, that it's really, for us, about giving a great actors a great script and just putting them in front of the camera and letting those scenes play out. There's so much heavy lifting that Scream movies do that it'd be easy to kind of to sort of throw too many visual gimmicks at this story to like make it feel snappy and exciting. And for us, it's like, man, the script is so great. The characters are so fun. It has its own pace and its own identity, and to just, really treat it in as grounded a way visually as we can. And I think people will dig how it, weirdly feels like the original, but is also very much a modern looking movie.
So I got a couple more. How did you approach taking over not, I don't even want to say taking over. You know, just being able to do as much as you could with Wes's legacy. Like, what did you find most difficult?
I think we just wanted to make sure we never got it wrong. We didn't want anything that we were doing to be disrespectful. That was something that, you know, started way before we got involved. The first thing Jamie, who wrote it and produced it, he wrote it with Guy Busick. But the first thing Jamie did when they got the property was get in touch with Kevin Williamson and to get his blessing and to get him involved and to bring him into the fold. And then from that point on, I think the conversation we had more than anything was a what would Wes do? How would Wes handle this? From the way that we were offset, you know, with when we just had the cast, like the conference room Chad mentioned earlier, you know, creating kind of a family vibe to the way we were on set and we were crafting scares and crafting scenes. And it just, I think the goal to do his legacy justice just permeated every single thing in the movie. And I, you know, part of that, just to say it, is that not in a way that hopefully never is, you know, nostalgia porn or just kind of that thing that sometimes it's overboard. Because I think one of the things that Wes instilled in us as fans is that you have to kind of break rules. You have to push against the grain and you kind of have to create your own boundaries and your own rules. And I think if we can do that within the world that he created, that's going to be, like, I think one of our favorite parts of it.
Yeah, and just to jump off of that real quick too, we did reach out to people that were part of the originals, right? One of our biggest conversations at the very early stage of right when we wrapped production, I think, was getting into it with talking to Patrick Lussier, who edited for Wes on the first one, and just to get the insights into, like, okay, what was the process like, and how can we emulate that in a way that'll bring justice to all this, and then leaning into the what Nev and Courtney and David brought to it, and listening to their stories about how Wes handled things and what he did to make that set feel like what Matt was talking about, like a family.
Okay.
Okay, so I have another fan question from Luis Miguel. So this idea, let me rephrase. How is it working on a franchise that was so revolutionary for many and bringing it back after a decade and knowing that a new generation of moviegoers will be introduced to it for the first time? So a lot of people who are watching Scream will have never seen the ones that preceded it. So what is that like in your heads?
I mean, it's an incredible honor, and I think we can only hope to give new fans what the first Scream gave us, right? I mean, that movie was a gateway for so many people into the genre, right? It I think in a lot of ways destigmatized horror at the time, and it also, that movie presents itself like just very, very eloquently as a horror encyclopedia, right? If you watch the first Scream, I mean, you can't count the number of other movies, horror movies that are referenced in that film, and you know, we definitely wanted to do that as well. We think that, you know, there's a lot of love given to the genre in this new movie, and I think for people who are entering the franchise with this film, there is definitely a ton of incentive for them to go back and watch the original four, but to also explore every corner of the genre and all of the movies that are referenced in this, you know, next installment. And, you know, there really is we have a genuine love for that community and for the stories that they tell, and I think that's certainly present in this movie in a lot of ways.
Love it.
Fantastic. So one more question is that, you know, a lot of people have been asking this. Wes was known for the famous cameos in Scream. Linda Blair, Carrie Fisher, like, are we going to see, you don't have to tell us who it is, are we going to have cameos in this movie?
I don't know how to answer this without spoiling.
Sounds like a yes.
I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. It's not. Selena Gomez is not in the opening. Sorry to everybody who's still holding on to that. That's the. We do love her though. Guys, is there any way to answer this?
I don't think so.
That's fine.
That'd be
I have
kind of
an
spoilery.
from a
Yeah,
fan.
yeah.
We can deviate from this moment. From Liam Holligan, can you talk about the development of Deputy Judy's character from 4 to now?
Oh yeah, so yeah, that's a great question. Like obviously we're huge fans of Deputy Judy, and we wanted, like, the way we approached every single character is like we wanted it to be a full 10 years since Scream 4, and I think with Judy's character you find her in a place that is very content and very, very loving and stuff like that too. So I think jumping into the Judy character of it all without giving away any spoilers or anything like that as to what her role is in this one, it was fun, and it was very fun to approach what life is like 10 years later for people that, you know, you just get a glimpse of their life but you don't get a full picture of their life, like maybe in 4 or in any of the other movies, but you get to build out this world and what else is going on in their world and where they're at. So that, I think that was entertaining with Judy.
She's got
Okay.
a kid. Yeah, there you go. Just answer the question. She's got a kid.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. You know, and thank you for the Woodsboro Horror Film Club, which is an amazing Facebook group. I'm sure everybody that is listening is in there, but if you're not, please join it. We just celebrated the franchise's 20th anniversary, and the Scream movie will only be in theaters on January 14th. I know this is, this was incredible talking with you fellas. I know that, the world is a crazy place at this time. How stressful is the next 3 weeks are going to be for you?
I mean, I think equal parts stressful, but also really exciting. You know, I think it feels in so many ways like our careers as storytellers have been building to this moment. I mean, you know, so much of what we love about movies and what we have learned to do and that we do successfully is because of Wes and the movies that he created. So to get to stand on the shoulders of those giants and actually have something out into the world that's a part of that universe is, I mean, it's a dream come true, and we can't wait for January 14th.
No, and we're excited too, and we will be there in the theaters watching too. We are so excited, and we're so excited you guys took the time to chat with us today. This has been amazing.
Yeah, thanks for
thank
having
you,
us.
and thanks everybody
All
for
right.
tuning in.
Yeah,
Yes.
the great questions. Thank you for the questions.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Everyone.
Have a great night.
Thank you, everybody.